Day the dead came back. My friend Malcolm was one of the first to die during the spring offensive. Like thousands of other men, he left his wife and children behind to serve his country. Like thousands of other men, he was told this offensive would be the final offensive. Like thousands of other men, he would be struck down by a bullet in no man's land and lie in a puddle of his own blood, thinking of the home he would never see or his wife and children he would never hold again. And like thousands of other men, he was wrong. First, it was just a handful of lucky men at a time. I was on picket duty when Malcolm came back. I couldn't believe my eyes and hugged him when he staggered towards the trenches and did my best to ignore his lack of heartbeat. The others followed behind him soon afterward. Their comrades welcomed them with open arms, and medics were astonished at how such lucky bastards could walk with bullets lodged into their bodies and shrapnel stuck in their heads. After the first hour, our trenches were being flooded with platoons of pale-skinned men wearing blood-soaked blue uniforms. We bombarded them with questions like, "What was it like on the other side?" and "How are you even still alive?" To this, their response was always the same. He said we had a mission to accomplish. That's when we became terrified of them. By the time the sun rose the next morning, the entire front line had gone silent for the first time in years. A ceasefire had been called because even the enemy needed to take accountability for the hordes of dead men now standing in their ranks. The invalids, as we started to call them, refused to take orders. They were sick of war as they had now survived its ultimate punishment, and began to resent us for our stares as they segregated themselves in their own dugouts and refused to come out to face the sun. Men in bowler hats and suits began filing into the trenches not long after the invalids came. They began prodding them with questions and studied them like animals. They issued orders to us not to write home what was happening here, and had military policemen patrolling the area, trying to catch anyone taking photographs, as that place began to resemble a prison more than a war zone. Life for us became even more tense after the gunfire had stopped. When men are faced with situations they don't understand, they begin to ask questions that no officer can answer. What will happen to us now if we are shot? Can we even die anymore? And is this war even still worth fighting for? Then one day the invalids decided they weren't going to be soldiers anymore and discarded their helmets, rifles, and bayonets as they simply walked away. They marched in huddled masses towards the reserve trench line and to the roads back home, with Malcolm at its head as officers and military policemen tried to stop them while the rest of us enlisted men just stared blankly at our old friends, whom we no longer recognized. The orders went unheard as they walked, and they would have left completely unopposed until a young lieutenant drew his revolver and aimed it towards the crowd. He barked every threat and insult he could think of, while the rest of us just stood on the sidelines waiting for the next move. It turns out it was Malcolm who made that move when he approached the lieutenant and put his hand on the gun. We all flinched when the gunshot went off, and to our surprise saw Malcolm standing there with a bullet lodged in his eye. He then took the gun away from the lieutenant and walked past him. The rest followed him, and shortly afterward, only those with a heartbeat remained behind. If our leadership was right about anything, it was the idea that the spring offensive would end the war as the ceasefire became permanent a week later, as it became obvious that world governments were no longer scared of living men. Instead, it was the ones that could not die that concerned them. My daughter is my pride and joy. She's 8 years old, and from the very moment she was born, she was like an angel sent down to earth. And it was my job to water and nurture her into adulthood. We have this tradition where every night just before bedtime, I'll read her a few pages out of her favorite book. Watching my little girl so entranced, so encapsulated in the story, it made my heart glow with a warm light that blanketed my entire being. On this particular night, we were on chapter 12 of Charlotte's Web, and Charlotte had just rounded up all the barnyard animals. This is around the point in the story where she starts spinning messages into her webs, like "some pig," "terrific," all those subliminal messages to keep the farmer from slaughtering Wilbur. My daughter had quite the little meltdown, pouting how afraid she was that Wilbur would go on to be sold and butchered. "Come on, Pumpkin," I plead. "Do you really think Charlotte would let that happen? Look, she's leaving notes, so the farmer knows Wilbur isn't just some pig. Leaving notes like the man in your closet? She asked. I didn't know what to say to this. A man in my closet? What? Haha, yeah, silly. Just like the man in my closet. Finishing up, I closed the book and began to tuck my daughter in, giving her a gentle little kiss on the forehead and brushing her golden blonde hair back behind her ear. All right, sweetie, you have sweet dreams for me, okay? You too, Daddy, she cooed. Lying in bed that night, I couldn't shake the unease. Man in my closet, she said. What kind of kid fear makes her think there's something in my closet? I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I checked. I actually, ever so cautiously, made my way over to the closet before sliding the panel open to reveal nothing but darkness before me. Yanking the pull string and flooding the closet with light, everything seemed to be in order. Shoes, shirts, pants, and a crumpled sticky note tucked under the edge of the drywall. Some pig scribbled in red ink. I did everything I could to rationalize it. Maybe my daughter left it? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's part of some poorly made grocery list, I don't know. Number. No, this couldn't be rationalized. It was too perfectly coincidental. I grabbed a bat and I made my rounds. Hello, I shouted. Hey, if there's anyone in here, you better come out now, 'cause I'm calling the cops. I went through every room in my house and didn't find even a hint of a person. All the yelling had awoken my daughter, who was now standing at my side. What happened, Daddy? She grumbled, wiping sleep from her eyes. Nothing, honey. Let's get back to bed. Come on, it's late. Did you find the man, Daddy? I paused. What man? What man are you talking about, Roxy? Tell me now, I said sternly. The man from your closet, Daddy, I told you. Don't you remember? There's no one in the closet, Roxy. I checked already. I thought I heard something in the garage. So you didn't find the note? My blood ran cold. What do you know about a note, baby girl? I asked playfully to mask the fear. He told me he left you one. He said it was like from the story. Sitting my daughter down on her bed, I pulled the crumpled sticky note from my pocket. Are you talking about this note, sweetheart? I asked her. Yes, it's just like from the story, Daddy. Look, some pig. She laughed, clapping like she just saw a magic trick. Needless to say, we camped out in the car for the remainder of that night. The next morning, I sent Roxy off to school and began my extensive search of the house. I'm talking looking for hollows in the drywall, shining flashlights in the insulation-filled attic. Hell, I'm checking under the bathroom sink for Christ's sake. Finding nothing and feeling defeated, I plopped down on the couch for some television when the thought hit me. Roxy said he wanted to leave one for me. Could this mean that he's already left some for Roxy? I rushed to her room and began rummaging, emptying the toy bin, searching the desk and dresser, not a note to be found. However, glancing at her bookshelf, I noticed something that I hadn't before. A thin, aged-looking composite notebook with cracks branching across its spine and yellow pages. It wasn't the notebook that caught my attention, though. It was the flap of a bright yellow sticky note that stuck out ever so slightly from between the pages. Opening it up, what I found horrified me. Each page was completely covered in sticky notes from top to bottom and left to right, like a scrapbook of notes that, according to my daughter, came from a man in my closet. None of them were particularly malicious. In fact, it was as though they were all written by a dog that had learned to communicate. Hello, in one read. Roxy, read another. Waiting. Window. Daddy. Just single-word phrases that looked to be written by someone who was mentally challenged. Who do I even turn to for this? What would the police say if I brought them this and told them my daughter and I have been sleeping in my car because of it? They'd take Roxy away and declare me an unfit parent. That's what they'd do. So I just waited. I waited until Roxy got home, and I confronted her about it. Roxy, sweetie, I found this in your room today. Is there anything you want to tell me about it? Those are the notes, Dad. I told you so many times, she said, annoyed after a long day of second grade, I guess. Yes, I know that, dear. But where did they come from? How did that man give you these? He always leaves them for me after our stories, Daddy. It's like his thing. Leaves them where? She stared at me blankly. Ugh, where have I said he lives this woolly time? She snarked, rolling her eyes. He's in your closet. Roxanne Edwards, is that absolutely any way to speak to your father? I snapped. Go to your room right now and fix that attitude you've picked up today. Well, sorry, she croaked. It's not my fault you won't listen to me. Keep it up, young lady, and so help me, I will see to it that you stay in that bedroom all weekend. She closed her door without another word. I hate to be so hard on her, and it's not even her fault, really. This whole situation has had me on edge for the last couple of days. About an hour passed, and by this time, I'd decided that I should probably start thinking about dinner. I figured I'd get pizza as a truce for Roxy, so I called it in and started looking for a movie we could watch together. Midway through browsing, I heard giggling coming from Roxy's room. That's odd, I thought. What could possibly be so funny? Sneaking up as to not disturb whatever moment she was having, the first thing I noticed was the book in her hand. That's my girl, I whispered under my breath. I didn't raise an iPad kid. However, pride quickly dissipated when I realized that her eyes were glued to the floor by her bed frame instead of the copy of James and the Giant Peach. Hey kiddo, I chirped. Her eyes shot up from the floor to meet mine. Hi Dad. What are you up to in here? I asked her. Oh, you know, she said wondrously. Just reading. Just reading, huh? I thought I just heard you laughing. Oh yeah, there was just a silly part in the book, she said distractedly. Well, are you gonna tell me what it was? I chuckled. Your old man likes to laugh too, you know. I'll tell you later. I'm getting kind of sleepy. I kind of want to go to bed. Go to bed? It's only 7 o'clock. I just ordered pizza. Come on, pumpkin. I thought we could watch a movie. She answered with a long, drawn-out yawn. Okay, fine. Well, at least let me read you some more of that Charlotte's Web, I begged it gently. I don't think I want a story tonight, she said, reserved and stern. No story? But I always read you a story. Okay, fine. If you're that tired, I guess I'll let you have the night off. Sweet dreams, pumpkin. This finally drew a smile onto her face. You too, Dad, she said warmly, before getting up to give me a big, tight hug. That night, I ate pizza alone in the living room while I watched Cops Reloaded. I finally called it a night at around 11, when my eyes began to flutter and sound began to morph into dreams. Crashing out onto my bed, I was just about to fall asleep when the faint sound of scratches made its way into my subconscious. The scribbling, carving sound of pen to paper. I shot up and rushed to the closet, swinging the door open and yanking the pull string so hard I thought it'd break. Lying on the floor in plain view were 3 sticky notes, each one containing a single word scrawled so violently it left small tears in the paper. Do not yell. That was enough for me. All the sleep exited my body at once as I raced to my daughter's room, car keys in hand. My heart sank when I found an empty room and a window left half open. I screamed my daughter's name and received no response. Weeks went by and no trace of Roxy had been found. I am a broken man. I've thought about suicide multiple times because how could I let this happen? My pride and joy, the one thing I swore to protect no matter what, taken right from under me. The only thing that stopped me is that a few nights ago I heard scribbling from my closet. Less violent this time and more thoughtful, rhythmic strokes. Hurrying over to the closet and repeating the routine once more, I was greeted with but one note this time. One that simply read in my daughter's exact handwriting, "I miss you, Daddy." Yeah, you read the title. It's been a rough couple of days, and I know it's gonna keep getting worse until I'm dead and gone along with the woman I married. I'm sorry, God. I apologize to me and my wife's family. I'm just an overall pathetic piece of shit, it seems. I was ridiculed throughout our entire marriage. She'd laugh and bicker about my incompetence in bed and my entry-level job. She'd even go off about my mother just to get under my skin. She was mean even when she didn't mean to be, but I loved her with all my heart. I loved her cute little smile, the way her eyes glistened in the sun, the cute little way her nose would wrinkle up when she was thinking. I was just absolutely, stupidly in love with her. Her beauty was unmatched and thus made her insults meaningless to me. All I could see through her malice and hatred was my stunning bride, my perfect angel and reason for being. For 10 years I loved her, even with her flaws. That is until last week. We were supposed to be going out for the day. And we hadn't even gotten out of the driveway yet before she was already going on about every problem she'd ever had with me. You know, your hair looks really fucking stupid today. I can't believe I'm still being seen in public with you because you actually look disgusting. She knew how to snicker in just the right tone to make me grind my teeth. I really tried to bite my tongue and let it go. I even remained silent when she pulled out the classic, "I should have married someone who could actually give me children." Apparently, my silence hadn't been what she was looking for in our relationship, though, because in response to this, she started saying things that I'd never heard before. "You're really not going to fight back at all?" she asked. I looked at her, confused. "How do you mean, darling?" I replied. See, there you go again. You really don't even have the fucking balls to defend yourself when your own wife is degrading you? You're a sad, pathetic little man. What did you think, that I'd want some half a man who just lets me say what I want when I want? You're a fucking loser, Stephen, and I want a divorce. I've wasted too many years waiting for you to man up and treat me how I want to be treated." How she wants to be treated. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, after 10 years of stomaching every hateful comment, every ear-piercing scream, here she was, telling me she wanted to leave me. "Is that how you really feel?" is all I could think to ask. She scoffed and started rapping again. "Is that how I feel? How do you fucking feel, Stephen? How do you feel knowing that I'm the one thing you've ever done right your entire loser fucking life? And how do you feel knowing that now you don't even have that? Better yet, how do you feel knowing that I'm going to take half of the nothing that you own, you fucking bum?" I felt cold and numb. I couldn't even feel anger. All I felt was a tugging in my gut, telling me to do something I should have done a long time ago. Without thinking, I grabbed a tire iron from my back seat and smashed my wife's face in with it. I heard the sickening cracks of her skull splintering open as blood and bone pelted my passenger window. I wasn't even shocked at what I had done, but what I was shocked about was the fact that my wife, with bits of brain leaking out of her fractured cranium, was laughing. A golf ball-sized hole was oozing thick red blood out of her forehead, and she still just would not stop fucking laughing. I hit her again, this time right above her right ear. When I swung, the tire iron lodged a good 6 inches directly into my bride's brain, and I sat with my jaw dropped as the laughter amplified. "Ha ha ha ha, you can't even kill me, right, you stupid son of a bitch," she cackled. I was horrified. I ran around to her side of the car and dragged her out. Though there were still words and laughter coming from her mouth, no life remained in her body, and dragging her up our porch into our house was incredibly tiresome. Uh-oh. Somebody should have worked all that lard off when I told them to. Ha 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 ha. Maybe we wouldn't even be in this position if I actually had a strong, hot husband. Ha 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 ha. "Please be quiet," I pleaded. "I'm so sorry this happened." Ha 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 ha. "I'm dead and gone because of you, and you still can't be a man, you pathetic fucking bastard." Ha 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 ha. I dragged her to the garage and sprawled her out on the floor. "This is the most you've touched me in years, big boy," she moaned. "What's got you so riled up? Ha 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 ha. It'd take killing me for that dick to finally work? Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, please shut up," I begged again. "Ooh, there's the man I want." "Disrespect me, Daddy. Fuck my skull hole, you pig." Ha 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 ha. She laughed. I went to my workbench to get a hacksaw and then got to work. With each limb I removed, a new deafening wave of horrendous laughter would fill the garage. I even tried sawing open her throat to destroy her vocal cords, but somehow she continued with her obscenities. "New slit for you to not touch, huh, Stephen? This is the hardest I've ever seen you work for me. Isn't that right, Stephen?" I'd gotten down to nothing but a head and torso before the wild laughter finally subsided. However, it was soon replaced with the sounds of light snickering and giggling. I looked up and met eyes with my wife. "It's till death do us part, Stephen, and I don't think I'm ready to die just yet." Her words stung me, and my eyes began to tear up a bit. "I'm not dying before you, honey. I'm not letting you have the satisfaction of knowing that you won something for once in your miserable life. We've been sitting here for the past 4 days. The insults and laughs have fully subsided now, and what has replaced them is the rhythmic, sing-song sound of my wife's voice repeating, 'Do it,' over and over again. And you know what? I'm going to." I figured I'd write this as closure for those close to us, so you guys know the reasoning behind the state of me and my wife. I love you all, and I really am truly sorry.